So hey, this is Yash and I'm super excited for today because today I'll be talking about this wonderful Google gradient that animates and something that you have seen in the AI mode. So let me just show you this frame by frame, the kind of way that we can actually understand how this works. And you can see that we have this green, yellow, red and blue colors, and it's kind of making this text box. And you may have seen this if you have opened Google and you have gone to this AI mode, and this bar or this text caret also changes color from blue, green, yellow, red, things like that, which is also really amazing. So the way we see it, like this is moving, this occupies like 2/3 or 1/3 of the whole circumference of this text area or whatever that is. And yeah, this changes to that. So I would want to make, like, I want to focus on just this component, the one that you are seeing here. I saw that we can have this icon available from fonts.google.com/icons. I believe this one we can also, but we will need to actually have both outlined as well as filled icons for that. So what I'm going to do is make a basic bare bones example that can actually show this main thing, which is like this animation, the one that is giving us this nice feel or this purposeful animation, so that we wanna click on that input and we wanna type it. And yeah, this is like really great to have, as well as the changing colors in caret, which is really nice to have as well. So yeah, the way I will be doing it is that we will be using something like a form, and let's just think about it. And this cross is something that would just remove the text that whatever that was. So this is like a button of type reset, which actually allows the form to get reset by just clicking on it, so the input just gets removed. This is nothing but an input type file, so that we can actually add images. This is Google Lens, but because fonts.google does not have the icon directly, so I'm just omitting this one, as well as I'm omitting this microphone, because we want to keep this simple but have the main focus on this particular animation that happens. So yeah, without further ado, let's take a look at our code pen, and I'll be explaining that how we have done it. So yeah, let me just make this full screen. And yeah, so you can see that we have this nice animation, kind of like it makes this slow animation, and then whenever it is just very close to ending, then it just gives a very fast motion and then it ends. We also have this input type file that opens up a file. We have this, which where we can just add our text. It changes the caret color between four colors, and we have this clear or close. Everything has a title tag, so that we can see like what's the semantic meaning of it, and if we click on that, it gets removed. Also, we can click just anywhere here, and that would make the focus into the text area, which is quite nice. Like, we can click on here and that would also work, which is amazing. So yeah, also we have this button here. I have added something like action to this code pen itself. So if I click on that, I would do that at the very end. It will just open up and add another code pen inside of it, which is which I just found very funny. So this isn't something that you will have to add. But yeah, so first let's take a look at the HTML. Let's understand how the HTML works, and then we will go to CSS. And yeah, super excited for it. So we have a field set, which is like a field set and a legend. This is something that I'm doing it because inside of a form, I just want to label like what is this form about and what does it do. So the field set usually has a legend, and usually these things are whenever visible. You may have seen something like an outline that goes and a text that is written on this outline, which is like very nice for field set legend to have. And I will just show you like what I mean by removing some of the code. Let's see if I can do that. So what I have done right now is I've clicked on that. Oh, okay, I have seen that code pen is uh, being very slow right now. Let me just reload this. Oh yeah, let me just reload and see the thing. But yeah, so what I was saying is that if we have this field set and legend, and because I just want to show the effect, what I can do is I cannot hide the legend, and I can just make the legend visible. And let's see like how does that look. So yeah, we have something like the Google search text here, which comes on the field set, and this is how they work. They are actually allowing us to know like what the form is, and these are just some accessible things that are usually great to have, and you should have it in a form whenever you're making it. So this is just more semantic HTML. And the other thing is that the label is visually hidden, and this is like the first thing that I have just uncollapsed. So let's see. By visually hiding it, I mean it I'm not removing it off the DOM, so the display cannot be none, and I'm not changing opacity to 0 because some screen reader might not read it. So the correct way is like you can add a clip path, a white space, and then the height and width can be just 1 pixel, and just hide it by removing the overflow and just positioning it absolutely. So it would not be seen anywhere because of these properties coming up together. Yeah, so we understand this visual hidden part, and we also understand this field set. Like the field set has this border which is the parent of all, and it has this border radius of 40 pixel. It has some kind of padding so that our text area is inside. We could have done the border and padding and all of that to the text area itself, but because I wanted this inset and this kind of this snake gradient, 4 gradient animation, I chose this way. So this is like in front end there are like thousands of ways to get it right, and maybe have 1 or 2 ways to get it wrong. So this would work, and there would be multiple other ways that would work. So let's keep going. Let's collapse the CSS part right now, and let's just understand like what's the HTML part. And the next thing is we have a lovely text area. So this text area is something that is taking this whole space, or not the whole space, so at least it is taking the space that you are seeing right now. So yeah, something like it has a size that is taking up this top left space. It does not take the space of this close button or something like this send button or something like this image. But what happens is that we have our padding that is actually enabling us to do that. So the actual text area is taking a lot more space. It is taking the whole space here, and we also have a label for this text area that is actually taking that is actually positioned absolute and taking the full space of this form. And just because this label is connected to the text area, the way that accessible labels are made, then if we click on this, the text area gets highlighted or focus, and the caret appears there. So this is quite nice, and this is something that we should do. So yeah, we understand like how the label and text area are, and we have a slight understanding of how the CSS might look like. We also have something or a new property called field sizing to content, and I'll just show you what that means is. Field sizing to content is something that would set the scroll height to the actual height of the text area, or in simple words, this is a new or limited time or limited available experimental technology that will soon come into most browsers or all the major browsers. And what it does is that it makes sure that whenever you are increasing the size or whenever you are increasing the text content, then that particular input is also getting increased with the size that you are changing it to, which is very nice. So we do not have to write any lines of JavaScript to increase the size of this dynamically to the input, and it does not become a scrollable, which like I really found good for this example. We could have just made it scrollable after a certain block size, after a certain height, which would also have done the job. But yeah, for this demo, this is really great, and we are using something which is quite new, and I mean would love to like see like how that works and make sure that we understand these new properties as well. So yeah, the next thing is that we have a type reset button, which is nice because we do not have to write any lines of JavaScript. And again, this is a pure CSS example. I wanted to make it in a way that we can do it without JS. And if I click on that, because this is a type reset button inside a form, it automatically removes it, which is a nice way to do it, and a right way as well. The next thing that we have here, if we have a bottom class, so you may have understood it right, that we have absolutely positioned these two buttons at the bottom, maybe something like a flex size and a justify content to space between. And what we have here is we have the label or the input label and the input on the left side, which works this way. It allows us to have any file that can be uploaded. And on the right side, we have this submit button, which is a primary button. So we have styled it with this blue color, and we have been using something like material outline icons or material symbol icons. And we can see in CSS that we have added this fonts.google.com API so that these icons can load directly. Yeah, quite nice. So we understand the basic semantics, and that's the end of this bottom. So just to go with an overview, we have a bottom tag that is a div that allows us to have this input and this button. We have something like a label that is getting across the total area, but still the z indexes of the both the input label and the button are on top of it. Uh, this allows us that the whole form or the whole area is clickable to focus into this text area. We have a very nice animation that's the main or core heart of this whole demo, which I will be talking about, and then we have this button to close it. And yeah, that's all about the HTML part. So let's go to CSS and let's see like what wonders CSS has. And maybe if you want, then we can also go or we can also have a version with JS, because we would want to make sure that everything can be achieved with baseline properties as well, so that if I have an older browser, let's say 5 years or more old, then I would want these properties to work, and maybe the field sizing will not work. So maybe I will have to see a css.supports and add a JavaScript to make sure that we can make sure that we have this scroll height which can be set to the height of the text area, and with that we can actually make a property or actually make a demo that is progressively enhanced. So yeah, those are also quite nice things, but let's keep going and let's see like what this example has to offer. So the first thing is that I've set something like color scheme light and dark, and here I would want to show the power of Chrome DevTools, and Chrome DevTools has this very nice button, and with this has this prefers color scheme light and dark, and if I just click on that, and I can actually see if a user prefers the light screen, and if he prefers the light color scheme, then he would see this mode. And I can just click on that and just say prefers color scheme dark, and then I can see the dark mode, which is quite nice. So yeah, we are making sure with the color scheme light and dark, and we have something called the light dark functions, which will together work in a way and allow us to have light and dark modes as well. So we are caring about both colors. What doesn't change is that these four colors, blue, red, yellow and green, or the Google branding colors, would just stay the same, which I have just defined as material design system color, Google blue, red, yellow and green. And then I have a primary color, which is this is darker blue, that I made a hover action to just change it to this blue color, because I didn't want it to add more colors. That was just me being able to just repeat or just reuse some of the variables. But yeah, we have this primary color, which is a bit darker version as well. Then we have this ring, which is basically nothing but this arc or this whole gradient that is moving. We can just redefine the width of this, like we can just say 13 pixel, maybe it will just get even bigger. It doesn't look really nice, so let's keep it at 3 pixel. And we have a speed, which is like how fast do we want it to go, and we can just set that as well. So yeah, we have these variables working for our very last or very core heart of this example, as well as we have this to set up the colors. Now let's see what the universal selector has. This is basically to set the margin 0 and padding 0, box sizing to border box, nothing out of the ordinary. And we have a body, which is also just setting things to the center. We could have just used flex and justified the content or align the items to the center, or we could have just used display grid, and this also works out of the box. And we have this block sizing to 100 dvh, so that it just stays in the middle. So yeah, this is just extra additional properties. And then we have this angle, but because this angle is something that would drive our gradient, we will take a look at it, or we will just come back to this. So I would be making sure that we come back to this. And the next thing is this form. This form has an overflow hidden, so that this particular blur that you are seeing does not go outside. Otherwise, this blur effect, which is just a filter blur, I will be showing you that as well, would have been seen outside as well as inside. So we don't want to do that. And it has a position relative, because all the other items like this particular image icon, or this particular send icon, or this whole bottom, or this close can be just styled absolutely to this, and can be styled to the bottom, or can be positioned to the top right. And this is the relative positioning relative to what others can get the styling of. And we have this border radius, which is defining the border radius of this. So we understand how the form looks like, and let's just close this as well. The next thing, and I think this is one of the bigger CSS, don't get afraid by seeing this. So what we have here is the first line says the position is relative, so that we can have the z index on the top, the current way that this particular gradient works is that if we did not have the text area over the top, then we may be seeing the full gradient to appear and cover the whole box, and we would be seeing the whole it is just like a radial gradient that is moving in an arc. So we do not want that. We want the center to have a text area and be having this black region, and which is why we have just colored it. We have used CSS light dark, which I was talking about. So this one, the first one sets what's the color in the light mode, the second one sends what's the color in the dark mode, and this is a relatively new property, very great to use. We could have still used, or we could have just used the dark or the light scheme. We could have not used it, would be fine. But yeah, I wanted to make sure that we use some of the newer properties, so there is something to learn as well. The inline size is 500 pixel, but the max is 100 pixels, so that we are responsive. So if a phone size is, let's just say 320 pixel, which is like an iPhone 5 SE or something like that, so it is just set 100% to that screen. So we are making sure that this is a set size, but there is a max size that can override it so that it can get smaller as well. We have a min block size of 150 pixel, but this gets increased as because we have something called field sizing content. We have a border radius. This border radius is the inner radius, and I will just show like why do we need this, because if we do not have this, then the text area would, and you can just see here, would give this kind of a corner that we do not want. We want the inner blurriness to be more subtle, and that's what it does. We have the border to none, but we also have the outline to transparent. So if there is a force color mode, then it will still get outlined. We want to respect those modes as well. So yeah, that's why this is like this. We have a font size and we have a resize none. We could have just made it resize vertical and allowed us to resize vertically, but I believe that's already happening because of the field sizing content, so it's good. The next part I want to talk about is that we have Zendex on top, because we want to make sure that the gradient does not appear on top of it. And yeah, we have something like padding on the end and something like padding on the right, so that we can make sure, and we are using CSS logical properties so that it can just get inverted if we are using an RTL language. And yeah, this allows us that the text does not actually get behind or on top of any of these buttons that we have, and things look nice. So we understand our text area, but let's just see what the focus mode does. So the focus has this property, and you may be able to see this at the very beginning, that our caret is animating. Our caret is going from red, going to blue, going to green, going to yellow. That's really nice. And the way it does it, that we have two properties that are actually more experimental. I added it because I had the chance to document them to Mozilla. I wanted to make sure that I write these, because if I change this to block, and the caret shape would change, and the caret shape, you can now see the caret is now a block. Or I can just say underscore, and the caret shape would again change, and it would become an underscore. So if I just write it something like this, it should change. Yeah, so the caret is now an underscore, and the default one is bar. I just wrote it, it does not do anything. You can just see that because the default one is bar, we are overriding it with bar. Similarly, the caret animation is the blinking that happens, and we are okay with the default blinking, which is like what we have in the caret animation. So if these do not work, then also we are good, but if these work, then also we are good. So just wanted to add those to showcase that yeah, these are some of the newer properties that are still coming up, are in the Canary version, and should be or will be in the Chrome stable version as well, and the other browsers too. So the property that we now care about is the animation, which is the caret color cycle, which is the thing that is changing a color. So these two are not doing anything in terms of the animation that we are seeing. Just the blink is happening, or the shape can change, but we are not changing the shape. We are changing the colors, and let's just see how. And before we do that, let's just close this and go to the keyframes. So we have something called keyframes of caret cycle. We are saying, hey, keep it blue from 0 to 25, or the first 1/4 half. Then the second 1/4 half would be something like we want it to be red, and then the 3/4 half would be something like we want it to be yellow, and the last quarter, we should have used quarter. So the last quarter is like, I want it to be green, and then 100% I want it to be blue, so that we can start back at blue again. and this is what is allowing us to have these wonderful colors as it is blinking. And yeah, we understand this. So what we left in between were like we understood text area and the caret color cycle, but there is this label as well. Because we have this label, which is a label for our text area, we want this label to cover up the space for us, because we know that the text area is not taking the full space, but we want that if we click here, we want it to focus in the text box, and that's what it is doing. And to verify that, because this is inset 0, which is like top 0, right 0, left 0, bottom 0, so that it covers the full space that is available by positioning it absolutely. So if I do something like background red, we would be able to see that this label is actually taking up the whole space. And you can see that, oh, this label got the animation or the gradient too. But yeah, that was not the purpose of adding this, some kind of side effect, but okay. So yeah, this allows us that if we click here, it would focus or give the text area the focus to have the caret there. And it is nice, because otherwise if we did not have this, then we are clicking on this space, but or we are clicking on something like this space, but it is not allowing us to have the, okay, one thing I did wrong was that I should just remove it. So this does not, this kind of, yeah. So the problem that we have here, that if I click on this particular space here, which is above our text area, it does not highlight a text area, and we do not want that to happen. So we understood the purpose of our label too, and let's keep going. We have field set. The field set is something that is set our border, and over this border is what the arc or this 4-color gradient is animating. So we have a default border of grayish color, we have a border radius of 40 pixel, we have some kind of padding, and we have a background color as well. So which goes nicely, because this particular space should also have the same color as the text area. So yeah, we understand a field set. And legend, we have already understood, we are visually hiding it. If you wanna check about visually hiding, then just maybe you can search about what is screen reader or visually hidden elements, and how does visually hidden elements work. Why didn't we use something like display none? And just to give a brief, we did not use it because we do not want that if we have a screen reader, it should not miss the element. Like this should be screen reader only, and that's what this visually hidden stuff is. And I'm just going to comment out, write a comment here. This is to make it visually hidden, and I'm just going to write visually hidden, and let's keep moving. So now we understand this, and the next part we also understand the caret cycle color. Now we have text button, and we have multiple buttons here on the left side in our HTML. We want to understand what do these buttons do, right? So the text button is something that has made a button to have some kind of padding, so that it's not only just the icon, we want bigger click space. We have a background transparent or border none. We still have something like a focus mode. I didn't want that focus mode to go away, which is okay. But other than that, we want that we do not have any kind of border, or we do not have any kind of background, so that it just looks as we have in the design. And then we have a color of light and dark. So these are also colored, and material allows us to color them like this. So we understand the text buttons, but we also have a primary button which looks bigger, is blue. Let's see how is that different. So it's bigger because it has a bigger padding. It has something like block and inline size, or a height and width of 60 pixel. It has a border radius of 50%, so that it appears like a circle. And it has this background color, which is like a light and dark. And on hover, we have just inverted those. So we are just reusing the blue color, and we are making a transition to that and a cursor pointer. So if we hover over that, this becomes blue. Let's see what it does look like if we have something like a preferred slide scheme, and it just becomes darker. We could have used something like new colors as well. That would have been nice. We can also see the accessibility, like does it have the minimum 4.5? If it doesn't, then we could have used a different color, which would have not been a problem at all. But yeah, for the sake of it, for the sake of this demo, I wanted to just make sure that we can just do it with the colors that we had, and that was the primary button. The next one is the close button, which is like we have positioned it on the right side. So we have something like a end or an inline end, or the right, that is 25, and we have a block start or the top, which is 20, and we have a z index, so that it appears over, it does not get hidden when we have this particular arc working. which I will show you, like why did we needed these z indexes by increasing the z index of this particular shenanigan that's happening. But yeah, let's keep moving. We have something like a input file that I have displayed none, because the label is enough to make sure that we can click on it. So this is like the display or the input file. We can click on the label, that would also work. So we do not want this to be displayed, and it's fine to do it this way. The next thing that we have is that this bottom footer, this bottom option of this text area has input. We are using this is or the pseudo selector or the pseudo class of is, and we are making sure that if it is an input, if it is a label, if it is a button, just make sure that the pointer events are set and the z index is 1, so that we can actually click on top of it. We can actually click on it. And now comes the best part. We have something like form hover, and on hovering over a form, we want this particular animation to happen. We want this particular gradient to happen, and let's just see how that gradient works. And we also have something like prefers reduce motion to no preference, and I would want to make you understand that prefers reduce motion is basically something like, hey, I do not want this motion or I want this motion, so prefers reduce motion can be reduced, like I want less motion, or no preference, like I don't care or I do not have a preference, you can make things animated and I would be fine by this. So that is what we wanted. Like if prefers reduce motion is no preference, then we want to animate things. But if it is set to reduce, or if prefers reduce motion is not even defined, or if it is an older browser, we do not want to animate. So first let's see like what's the we do not want to animate part, which is like animation is none, the background is none, pointer events is none. Pointer events will stay none because we do not want to click or have any pointer events with this gradient. But this animation background are none when we are in the default mode. But when we have a preference of no preference, like we are okay with anything, we are okay with we do not want a reduced motion, then we can actually animate it. And let's see like how did we animate it. And we have something like content to empty, and we have something like position absolute. Also just a side plug that if I add something like some crazy stuff here, then this would make it like readable to a screen reader, and this is like how we can make some like icon here and make something like an alt text here. Not needed for this, but yeah, something to just put into. Then we have a position absolute, a border radius of 40 pixels, so that it just confines with the border radius that we have set here. I could have used a CSS variable for border radius at the top, because I am seeing that we are using it multiple times, but it's okay. We have a background gradient that says, yeah, a linear gradient exists in the middle, which is on the padding box or on the padded region, and the conic gradient exists on the sides or on the border box or on the border region. To understand it better, let's increase the z index to like, let's say like 4. What we will be able to see is that this takes the full space, and let's just take it to one more level further by saying that, yeah, this is like from transparent to transparent. Like we do not have anything on the padding box, and everything or the chronic gradient is just these 4 colors, to understand like how are these colors moving. And you can see this is the kind of rainbow. I wouldn't say rainbow because we have like 4 colors here, but this is the kind of effect that we have. And we have just made sure that it does not happen in the padded region, and it only happens in the outside region. And this is how this is getting animated. Quite fascinating, right? Yeah, let's keep going. And I think what I want to remove is also the z index, because we do not want it to be on the top. We want it be behind the text area, behind these icons, so that everything that we want to work just works. And we still want to have this on both before and after, because one of them would be blurred and one of them would not be blurred. So this after one is actually what I have made with the filter blur, and I have made sure that this one gets blurred. Again, my code pen is getting some kind of sluggishness, but yeah, now it is a filter blur. And as you can see here, this blur is only on the inner side, because the form has an overflow hidden, and form also has this border radius. So it does not allow this particular blurredness to affect the outside parts, which is nice. We have will change attribute to make sure that, yeah, this animation or this background change will happen, and just to make it like more performant. I wouldn't say that like adding animations would still keep it performant, but yeah, based on the kind of animation we have, and we are not using something like a shader or JS, this is quite like really fascinating, really nice to have this kind of animation here. So yeah, we understand like the no preference part, and we also understand like how this is moving. The last part, and to just complete the whole picture, is the spin. The spin works this way that we have set this conic gradient, but this conic gradient is actually at some kind of angle. This angle is set by this property, so that we have this data property. This can actually make the angle move. If it wasn't a property, then it would have not provided this seamless motion. It would have just changed directly, and it would have not made this motion in a background gradient. This is why this is like passing data, not just values, and this is quite nice. And what we have here, I'm saying that yeah, make it 0.3 turn, or just make it a bit faster on the start for the first 10%. Then till 90% just keep it slow and just take the full 360 degree or one turn. And after like from 90 to 100% just be a bit fast and have the opacity from 1 to 0. So it just moves a bit fast, then it goes a bit slow, and then it makes a fast turn, and then finally disappears. And yeah, with that we have completed the full picture, and now we understand like how would we make it. I hope that you learned something from this. I hope that you can just watch it over. I will also add the code pen. You can just see that yeah, how we are adding this conic gradient, how we are positioning stuff, and how the full things works, and have this this semantic HTML, and kind of appears so nice, so purposeful. And I really love that Google has this in its AI mode, and I'm really loving the kind of carrot color and the newer carrot APIs also that are coming. So yeah, until next time, have a very great ahead. See ya. Bye.